My ex-council house hadn't exactly been loved. Over the last few years, I've been slowly undoing decades of questionable decisions, getting rid of some depressing beige colours and bringing each room back to life. And this bathroom might have been one of the worst offenders in the house. This is what it looked like when I moved in. Now, I know some of you will look at these before shots and think, that looks perfectly fine. And yeah, that's fair, but I didn't want a bathroom that was just fine like this. I wanted a bathroom that felt like me. Something warm, colourful, cosy, maybe a little bit weird. So naturally, I decided to tear the whole bastard thing apart. First thing to go was this wet wall. Now, if you live in Shetland or maybe even Scotland in general, wet wall is incredibly popular here, so don't hate on me for this, because I thought it made the room feel more like a hospital bathroom than part of a home. But getting them off the walls was a total nightmare. Wet wall is designed to be waterproof, tightly fitted, practically impossible to remove. We needed crowbars, brute force, and a lot more time than I'd ever planned for.
Jesus, yes!
But when we finally got the panels off, we knew we'd made the right decision because behind them was mould. Black mould along one wall where a bath had obviously previously been installed, signs of mildew in several other places, and the smell wasn't exactly great either. The room already had a slight damp, drain-like smell before we started, and finding all of this hidden behind the wet wall panels definitely explained why. If you are thinking about removing wet wall yourself, budget far more time than you ever think you'll need. Once everything was stripped back, it became obvious that this bathroom had a few more problems than just the ugly wet wall panels. The house was built in 1978 as a council house, and the insulation in these walls was practically non-existent, just a thin layer of old wool insulation, not much else. This explained why this room was absolutely Baltic during the winter. There's something particularly miserable about stepping out of a hot shower into a bathroom that's colder than the weather outside. So before rebuilding anything, we wanted to make sure we'd insulated properly. We picked up a roll of loft insulation from the local builder's merchant for around £35 and we packed this into the wall cavities. And we insulated the water pipes too. One of my favourite things about taking a room back to a structure like this is that you actually get the opportunity to future-proof everything. Nobody is going to see this stuff once the room is finished, but it's often the most important part of the entire renovation, and at least I know it's there. Once the insulation was in place, we stapled up a vapour barrier. This is basically just a plastic membrane designed to stop moisture reaching the insulation if any water ever finds its way behind the plasterboard. Looking back, our installation of this probably wasn't textbook perfect, but it was secure, sealed, and it did the job. Then came the plasterboard. I originally really wanted to fit all of this myself, but we were working to quite a tight deadline and I began to kind of know my limits. So I brought in joiners to install moisture resistant plasterboard throughout the entire room. This wasn't a huge additional expense and the finish was far better than anything I could have achieved on my own. Sometimes the smartest DIY decision is knowing when not to DIY. And suddenly, after weeks of demolition, the bathroom started to look like a room again. And at this point, I knew exactly what I wanted stylistically. Lots of colour. I chose pre-primed beaded panelling for the lower half of the walls and painted it in Valspar's Pop of Poppy, which is quite a bold red, and I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but if you've watched my channel before, you know I'm long past decorating for imaginary future buyers of this house. I just decorate for me. The joiners cut and fitted the panelling using adhesive only, which also meant I didn't have to remove and reinstall this incredibly heavy towel rail myself, which was a bit of a win. And my electrician absolutely saved the day on this project. He installed a new switch for the towel rail outside the bathroom, making everything much safer. And he also fitted a desperately needed extractor fan because, believe it or not, this bathroom did not have one when I moved in. Considering everything we'd found hidden in the walls, adding proper ventilation felt essential. Next, I painted the skirting boards, mist coated the new plasterboard, filled a few imperfections on the ceiling and gave it a fresh coat of moisture resistant paint. None of that's particularly exciting, but it's these boring jobs that make the final result look good. Then came one of my favourite parts of this renovation, the under sink unit. I spent ages looking for something I liked and eventually realised I could make exactly what I wanted for far less money, so I bought an old chest of drawers at a charity shop for £10. We painted it to match the panelling, cut a hole for the plumbing and transformed it into a sink stand. I kept the original sink and toilet because they were still in great condition, and it felt wasteful to replace them just for the sake of it. My dad even built me a custom drawer so I didn't lose any storage space. I really like how this turned out. Of course, no renovation would be complete without one unexpected plumbing issue. At this stage, the bathroom was mostly functioning again, but there was still a horrible drain smell. At first, we thought the shower was maybe to blame, so we climbed into the Solom space underneath the house, and we did actually find a slow leak, so we replaced some fittings and adjusted that pipe work. Problem solved, or so we thought, but the smell was still there, which meant the issue had to be the toilet. After taking everything apart again, I discovered that one of the seals had failed when I'd reinstalled the toilet, so I spent an entire day cutting a replacement and reinstalling the toilet again. But when that smell finally disappeared, I felt like an absolute hero.
Holy shit!
And it worked! Yes! Genuinely one of my most satisfying moments of this whole renovation. Now, before we get to the pretty bits, I should mention that my lovely boyfriend and I attempted to hang lining paper ourselves, and it nearly ended our relationship. So after a brief disagreement with both the wallpaper and each other, I admitted defeat and I hired a local decorator. For £100, they lined the room in just a couple of hours and put up my beautiful wallpaper, and that was money extremely well spent, especially considering how expensive the wallpaper was. Flooring was next. The old lino had left behind a really awful layer of adhesive around the edges of the room that took me forever to remove. This was the least glamorous part of this entire project. And then came floor tiles. I thought this would be easy, but it absolutely was not. Measuring, cutting and fitting them was probably one of the hardest jobs in the whole renovation. But once they were down, the room finally felt finished. I added trim to the panelling, touched up edges, painted the door red and closed an awkward gap beside the door frame that had annoyed me since day one. Then came finishing touches, a mirror donated by my grandma, a print of the Moomins to tie in with the wallpaper, red and white mushroom bath mats, matching towels, soap dispensers, a collection of lots of little details that I really love. So here it is. This is the finished bathroom. It's warmer, brighter, more practical, and completely mold free. And most importantly, it actually feels like home. I know some people won't like these colours, some people won't like that there's wallpaper in a bathroom, and some people probably preferred it before, but I think I'd like to normalise decorating homes for ourselves rather than for imaginary future buyers, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's got to live there. There's still a few finishing touches left to do. I'd like to add a hook behind the door and change the door handles at some point, but for now, every time I open this door, it does make me smile, and that's what a good design should do. I'm still calculating the final cost on this project, but I did know the entire renovation came in well under £1,000, which I'm really pleased with. I kept every receipt, so if you do want a full cost breakdown, let me know in the comments. I know not many people actually break down their UK renovation costs, so this might be helpful for some of you. Thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to see more of the renovation process, I have linked some of the individual projects and shorts on the screen now. See you in the next video.